Yo, what's going on YouTube? Cloverbells here, back with another Series 12 team building video, and today we are looking at Kyogre and Yveltal. So this is an interesting pair, right? It's not one that you would normally consider that was good or like really strong. It can be strong, but I think it's a little underexplored at the moment because everybody right now is falling in love with the Sun 6 and the Palkia and Calyrex Ice Rider teams, and then Swordfish is still there. But you know, if you wanted to explore a little bit more into some other duos, this is another cool one where maybe you might have thought of in the beginning of the format, where like when everyone was still trying to team build. This is always well, not always, but this is another cool one. Now, the reason why these two might work together is because, one, the Yveltal can be played a little bit more offensively and go for like Airstream plays to make your Kyogre faster, and then Max Darkness plays for those special defense drops, and then Kyogre can deal even more damage with Water Spout or Origin Pulse or something else. So that's why like something like this can work out. And you know, your Yveltal is already a nice counter to Calyrex-Shadow Rider. Your Kyogre, if positioned properly, can do well into Groudon. But then you have to consider other things like Gastrodon, and then like Thundurus. Okay, so like electric types, Yveltal and Kyogre don't very much like at all. So Regieleki just 4-0s this archetype if you don't have something to deal with an electric type. You know, and of course, those Sun teams, while it's easy to say that Kyogre can do well against Groudon and Charizard, they're running Gastrodon now along with Grimmsnarl. So then you have to consider that, because Kyogre can't do anything to Gastrodon. So you need something for that as well. And then from there, just like decent solid answers into something to deal with Trick Room, or something to deal with like the other off-meta things like Zacian Calyrex, or just like other kinds of Sun teams that you might see. Solgaleo is another one that you could also consider. But yeah, like in terms of like you know having options, there's some possibilities. Okay, so let's just go ahead and see how we can build the rest of this duo. So you have Yveltal, you have Kyogre. We know that they can both be very offensive. And now the reason for this mon, Raichu, is I believe on this kind of team it has to come, because you can't just lose to Zapdos or Regieleki or Thundurus. You can't just lose to those two, right? Those three rather. So you got to have something to make the opponent think like, okay, maybe I don't want to bring the Regieleki into this. And Raichu's that little critter, and somewhere Crystal is already smiling and beside himself. So I think Raichu fits on this kind of team. And then from here, I do like Incineroar. So Raichu Incin's pretty good. So like, you know, just to be able to go for like 2 Fake Out Mons, especially Raichu being a faster Fake Out Mon, really good. And then Incineroar, also another Fake Out Mon, really nice. Good answer to Zacian, good answer to both Calyrexes. Nice against Groudon if you have the Shuka Berry, and then, you know, Parting Shot. You know, Incineroar does Incineroar things, so really good. Now from here, I do think Kartana is the secret and the key to making this work. So because you have Kartana, now maybe you can't bring the Gastrodon into this, all right? Unless you're gonna, again, play the game of trying to position properly. But Kartana really fits on Kyogre teams because, one, Kartana doesn't like fire moves in general because you're 4 times weak to it. But Kyogre can help you out there by throwing the rain out there and then not dying to fire attacks. So really good here. And then if you pair like Kartana and Raichu together, you know, you break stashes, you get a little speed control, and then Kartana can get those beast boosts and then quickly steamroll and, you know, be a really strong Dynamax option. So I really like Kartana here. Great against Gastrodon, great against Groudon. Can be okay, sort of neutral into Zacian. But if you have the Assault Vest, you know, you're taking a lot of good special attack hits, especially like some of those electric moves. So really good. I think Kartana works. And then you have Incineroar, Kyogre, Kartana. You got a Fire, Water, Grass core here. So then, you know, Incineroar can do well against Kartana, very well. But then if you pressure it with the Kyogre, what's Incineroar going to be doing? Not a whole lot. So I really like Kartana here. And then for our last slot, just to have something, you know, just to be able to stall some Trick Room I think Grimmsnarl does come here. All right, good. Good. You know, Yveltal Instant Grimmsnarl is always going to be good, no matter what kind of team you have, whether it's like Zacian Yveltal, Yveltal Groudon. Like if you have Instant and Grimmsnarl, that's always going to work, and it's no different here. You got Instant, you got Grimmsnarl, you got Kyogre and Yveltal. That four alone is relatively solid. Okay, now again, normally your Yveltal would be Assault Vest here, but we're trying to play Yveltal a little bit more aggressive here, just to enable the Kyogre to do more damage and give it a little bit more speed. And Kartana can be a late game potential Dynamax option as well. So like Yveltal and Kartana are your main max options. Kyogre doesn't really want to max here, and then you just have the support homies with, you know, the Incineroar and the Raichu, and even the Grimmsnarl can come into some games. So that's the 6. So now let's take a look at the movesets, the EVs, and the items. But first, let's just reveal the GIFs. So Raichu, Kartana, Incin, Grimmsnarl, and then of course the Kyogre and the Yveltal. So that's our 6. So now let's go into the next part of the video where we talk about the movesets, the items, and then eventually, again, like I said, the EVs. Okay, so let's talk about Yveltal here. So I did say we are going to be Life Orb here. We want it to be a little bit more aggressive, and the reason that being is Kartana has the Assault Vest. So normally, you know, you want the Yveltal to have the Assault Vest. It's a good item, but on this kind of team, it's got to have the Life Orb, especially with Kyogre. So you still want Oblivion Wing, of course, and you still want a Dark move, not necessarily Snarl, or even Foul Play. Foul Play is also really good, but you gotta have Dark Pulse here. So Dark Pulse with Life Orb and Dark Aura just does so much damage, especially, you know, off of like a Dynamax move. It's really, really good. So I think it's very, very strong. And then because you have Life Orb Yveltal, you can run Protect, which can help it a lot. So yeah, there it is. Now this third move here, this is up in the air. It depends on like the viewer. You know, you might consider Heat Wave at first, you know, sort of like the Zapdos kind of move where like you're good into Sun teams a little bit. But like, yeah, and you know, this is also good into Zacian, but like you have some good options into Zacian. I don't think you need to make the Yveltal beat Zacian like this. And you know, you are on a Kyogre kind of team, so the Heat Wave is not going to be doing that much damage because, you know, there's just not as much synergy. If this was like Yveltal Zacian, then I could argue the Heat Wave, but I don't think the Heat Wave is as optimal as maybe these other two moves. Now you can also go Foul Play here. Now Life Orb Foul Play is really, really cool. I think it's nice into things like Groudon and even Zacian in general, because like if you check a damage calc for like Foul Play, Assault Vest, Yveltal into Zacian, it does so much damage. It does like almost 50%. You know, some players are like scared to click Foul Play into Zacian. No. Click the damn click the dang Foul Play button. All right. It does so much damage. All right. And then you add the fact that your Life Orb to it, it does even more damage. So definitely consider that. But I think on this kind of team, what's actually a really nice tech, Culver tech, is this move right here. This is Tailwind. This is something I did think about. I asked him a little bit of advice from Neil. Okay, and he also does agree that Tailwind is the right call on this kind of team because, you know, Kyogre and Kartana, they want to be fast, right? Like Kyogre likes Tornadus with Tailwind, because one reason why Tonogre was so feared is because you click Tailwind and then you click the funny button Water Spout and then things die, right? But you don't have Tornadus here, and Kartana, you want to get faster than Zacian, right? Because you don't want to be taking Sacred Swords. Same thing with Calyrex, you want to be faster than that. And you would hate to use a Dynamax move just for Airstream in that regard, but you know, if you have the Tailwind on Yveltal, something like this, it's really good. And then you have setups. Okay, you can always go like Raichu, Fake Out, click Tailwind. You can go Incin, Yveltal. You got chances to set this up. And then if you're under Tailwind, you can Dynamax the Yveltal and not have to try and go for an Airstream. You can just go for Darkness right away and then start dealing some big damage. So, you know, I think Tailwind on this kind of team specifically works very well. Now, if it was like Zacian Yveltal or Yveltal Groudon or something Yveltal anything else, I don't think Tailwind is the play. I think you're better off with like Heat Wave or Foul Play. But on this kind of team, I think Tailwind works. All right, Kyogre. Now, because of that, we don't have to go Choice Scarf. All right, because I really, really did not like Choice Scarf. Now, because we have the Tailwind option, we can always go back to Mystic Water with Protect. Thank God. Okay, and of course, we are going to go Water Spout. We are going to go Origin Pulse, and we are going to go Ice Beam. Thunder's a little bit difficult because of the anti-synergy with Raichu. Okay, so I think this works as well. Now Raichu, this is going to be Focus Sash, of course. And here you're going to want, of course, Fake Out, and you are going to want Nuzzle. Okay, now, of course, you know, what else is Raichu going to be clicking these first couple of turns? Now, I do think Electro Web is still very, very good, just for more speed control to help Yveltal and Kyogre here. And you're sort of clicking, you know, the Regieleki move. So, you know, Yveltal plus Raichu E-Webs is pretty good. Same thing with Kyogre. Just, you know, if you need that advantage, this is the way to do it. Now here, this is where like it's a coin toss. I feel like you can go a couple moves here. You can go Eerie Impulse, just to have something against stuff like Dialga, stuff against Palkia, stuff against opposing Kyogre, an opposing Life Orb Yveltal. So I think there's a lot of merit and a lot of use for Eerie Impulse, just to help you out with mitigating that damage. Okay, but I think another way to think of it is, well, why don't I just deal more damage and just go Helping Hand? Like Helping Hand Water Spout, or Helping Hand Origin Pulse, or Helping Hand like Max Darkness with Life Orb. Helping Hand with Kartana is also really, really good. So you could think of it like that. Okay, and then the other thing is, like, you can go like Helping Hand and Eerie Impulse. All right, and then you just spam Nuzzle. So you could consider that. I don't think this is as good. I think this is still okay, but I think you only want one, and you still go Electro Web. Okay, but we'll go with Helping Hand here. But again, in one of the battles that we're going to showcase in Showdown, I think we still used Eerie Impulse, and you'll see the use behind it. Incin, again, this is going to be like a couple things. So like Amoonguss could be annoying, right? And I think something like Safety Goggles is still the play. I do like Shuka, of course, because of the Groudon pivot. But like, if they click Trick Room and we have to go against an Amoonguss, you know, I don't want to max a Raichu for that. So I think Safety Goggles Incin is always okay. So Flare Blitz, okay, Fake Out, of course, Parting Shot, and Throat Chop here. You know, having that dark move. And you know what's also kind of cool is some games you might have to max the Incin, and then Max Darkness drops from Incin into Kyogre Water Spouts. That could be something. I don't know how often that's going to come up, but you know, you have the option. Kartana, this is a standard moveset, right? Leaf Blade, Smart Strike, your 2 stab moves, Airstream with Aerial Ace, and the other one was Sacred Sword, the fighting move. Okay, and then Grimmsnarl, like Clay said, of course. Now, we've been running something like this with Spirit Break, Light Screen, and Reflect. Now, I'm going to make you thinking about something here. Now, you can run Thunder Wave. Again, you can. However, it's a little awkward in a way with your Raichu, because it'll take that Thunder Wave. Now, that being said, if you Thunder Wave, you know, now you got a little plus one Raichu E-Webs for a little bit of damage. Now, if that's something you like, all right, versus like getting a Parahax for -2 versus, you know, a stab Electro at -1, you know, by all means, keep the Thunder Wave, and then you have this. You still have the Hacks option, but because we have a Raichu here, I think it's fine to just go for Scary Face. All right, and yeah, Scary Face Grimm is back on the Clover team. Remember, this is the move that I liked a little bit more than Thunder Wave in the beginning of the format, and all of Series 11, 10, and 9 and 8 and whatever. I did like Scary Face Grimm. So this is it. This is we got all the items, we got the moves. So I think it's kind of cool. Look, you got Tailwind. Okay, you got E-Webs, you have Scary Face. All right, so lots of, and then you have an Airstream on, so pretty good options for speed control, I would say. And then you got double Fake Out, you got Intimidate. So cool, nice tools there. So I think it's a cool team. All right, now how are we gonna do the EVs? So Yveltal here. So you can go a little bit bulkier, and then still have good speed. I think what we want is still Timid. Now you can just max it out and just do something like this, where like you just have 252, 252, right? You can do this. I think it's fine. Nothing wrong with it, but I want to optimize it a little bit. You can do something like this, where you still go to 209 here with the 60 investment to optimize the Life Orb damage, and then just do something like this, which is the way I'm gonna do it. Or you could just do this where you just go a little bit slower with 196, and this is to outspeed Jolly Landorus, because that's the only one you can really outspeed, because you'll never outspeed the Zards and the Zapdoses and the Gigases, because you're base 99 speed, not base 100. So no matter how hard you try, you won't be able to do it unless you get the Airstream off, and they don't. But the next best thing is the Landorus, and this is the one to do it. So what you can do is also do something like this, where you still have 60 investment, and then dump a little bit more into the special attack stat, and then there it is. So now, at the very least, this is okay. And you do have Tailwind, so don't ever think like, oh, I'm going to be slower than the other Yveltals, right? But you have the Tailwind, so consider that. So I'll leave it like that. I gave you some options, right? So you pick on what you think is best, but I gave you a justification for each one, right? And again, if you're wondering why the 60 EVs here, it's for the Life Orb chip, because remember, when you have Life Orb, you lose 1/10 of your HP per turn. All right, so if you overcut the threshold like this with 210, all right, now you're taking 21 damage per turn, as opposed to 20 damage per turn, because this is 20.9, right? 209 divided by 10 is 20.9. Okay, so then you're rounding it down to 20, so you're taking 20 damage per turn, as opposed to this, where now you're taking 21 damage per turn. So that's why we do what's called optimization, or optimizing your HP stat. Okay, a lot of old words there. Okay, anyway, Kyogre. So because we have Tailwind on the team, I think it's just safe to say we go modest. We outspeed Regieleki. Now 139 is the one to do it, but other Kyogres are doing that too. We want to outspeed the Speed Creeper, so we just pass it by 1 more point. We go third EV bump and the modest nature. Okay, you see how you go from 218 to 220? You skipped one stat, and then you went up by 2 points. Okay, this is what we call a EV benchmark, or an EV bump, and it's every 80 EVs in the natured stat, and there's 3 of them. All right, so again, if you don't know what EV bumps are, or EV benchmarks, okay, you gotta comment in the video below and ask, because if you want to play competitive Pokemon, you gotta know what these are. Okay, I'll be happy to explain it in the comments. All right, I'm showing it in the video. Notice how I'm moving the slider, but again, if you're still not sure, comment, ask me below. This is the stuff I do during sub coaching. If you subscribe to the channel with a tier 2 or tier 3 sub, I always go in depth with this, but this is it right here. So let's show where the first bump is. Let's use Kyogre as an example. All right, right here. Here's the first bump. So you see how you go from 196 stat to 198? You skipped the 197. All right, what happened? You have what's called an EV benchmark. All right, and it happens when you invest 76 EVs in this special attacking stat. Okay, so now I said there was 3 bumps. So this is the first one. The next one is 80 EVs later. So what's 76 plus 80? 156. So let's take a look at that right here. So you see how you go. You're at 207 attacking stat. Now, boom, 209. What happened to 208? You skipped it. This is a benchmark. Another one after 80 more EVs, 236. Okay, here it is. 218 to 220. You skipped 219. So this is our benchmark. All right. So hopefully now you know what it is. And it's only true for the natured stat. You're not going to see this in HP or defense if you're modest nature. Only in the natured stat. All right, now we just dump the rest into leftover bulk, and here it is. All right, Raichu. This is Sash. This is straightforward. 252, 252. No need to think anything more than this. All right, and of course Timid. All right, Ensign. So I'm still using the same slower, bulkier Incineroar spread. We are still careful natured. Now we are going to go second bump here. Remember, the first one is here at 76 investment. What's another 80? 156. All right, and then I still want to go just a little bit more speed. Now 28 is pretty good, because then with Tailwind from Yveltal, now you outspeed base 100s like a Charizard or a Zapdos. You can go for a parting shot, but some Incineroars are doing this too, so I'm just going to go 85 and just try out and outspeed them. So 1 point in the attack, 68 defense, and then the rest just goes into your HP stat. Okay, and this always was calcing for Zacian close combat. There's still a few of them running around, all right, instead of Sacred Sword, but this will survive the Zacian close combat after -1 Intimidate drop. Okay, Kartana. So the main thing with Kartana is we want to try and live the Incineroar Flare Blitz in the rain. Okay, that is the main defensive calc that I want to be looking for with Kartana. Okay, all things considered. So, and in terms of the speed stat, look, this 109 speed stat is a little weird. You're 1 point slower than Raichu, which is good because your Electrowebs go first. But I think we're gonna go at a little bit slower, okay, than a max speed Kartana here. And the one speed I will consider is this. So you can go 168 speed, right? I think this is just a tad bit slow, and I'll tell you why. But 168 will outspeed base 100s by 1 point. So something like a Charizard reaches a max speed stat of 167, Zapdos 167, Entei 167, all right, Regigigas 167. These are all base 100s with this speed stat, very popular meta threats. But if we go 168, we outspeed them. All right, but other things are going to be going for this as well. So what we want to do is outspeed those speed creepers, and I think this something like this is enough. If you go to 171, all right, I think that's fine. Now from here, you just want a lot of a special defense investment, because look at this. This is literally paper. I mean, Kartana is like origami anyway, right? So it's kind of fitting. But I think something like this is all right. You want an even number because you have the Assault Vest, right? So if you have the Assault Vest, you get a special defense boost of 1.5, but you want an even number, all right? This is bad. If you have 77, this is bad, because then 77 times 1.5, you get something 0.5, which rounds down your stat. You don't want to do that. You want to have a nice whole even number. So this way you get the best bang for your buck with the Assault Vest. So always go for an even number if you have that Assault Vest. All right, so 78, good. 79, bad. 80, good. Okay, so then from here, so how do we get this calc? So there's actually a few ways to do it to try and get this calc. We just need 1 point in attack, because look, 180, you are the hardest hitting thing besides Zacian. You don't need any attack. All right, this kind of combination with the HP and the defensive bulk, this will help you survive the Incineroar Flare Blitz, assuming it's 4 attack Incineroar. There's a few other EVs to try and do the same thing, but with the EVs that we have left with our investment, this is the thing we're going for. All right, so that's our Kartana spread. Grimmsnarl, same kind of Grimmsnarl spread that we've always been using. We just want to be able to live Zacian Behemoth Blade with an Intimidate, Switch In, and Reflect. All right, so same thing over here. Careful Nature. All right, second EV bump, 156 defense. All right, 1 point in the attacking stat, and then 220 HP EVs. All right, so this is it. All right, let's go ahead and make this paste. All right, and yeah, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you some sample battles with this, just a few, and also some sample damage calcs. Because we do have a Grimmsnarl on the team, so that's going to help a lot in terms of what we're trying to calc for. But yeah, Grimmsnarl changes the game once you have those screens up, and then again, just maybe 1 or 2 battles just to show it off, and then we'll recap it a little bit at the end of the video. So let's take a look. All right, so let's take a look at Kartana for a second. Now I did want to show you the Incineroar calc, but let me show you something against Charizard here. So this is Charizard with a timid solar power ability. Of course, Life Orb 252 252 with Blast Burn. So of course, you kill like 4 Kartanas, potentially 5, right? But watch this. If there is a situation where, let's say, you max the Kartana and you're in the rain. Now you still die, but with Light Screen, you actually do live, believe it or not, which is kind of funny. And then if the Zard maxes, okay, and if he goes for his G-Max Wildfire with the blast from Blast Burn, okay, you actually live that too if it's in the rain. So potentially, right, if the Zard is max and then you're gonna max, if you swap in the Kyogre, all right, you can take 1 Wildfire if you have to. Again, this is like Assault Vest, Rain, and Light Screen. Okay, but this is like a very extreme example, right? But sometimes you have to do it because remember, Kartana is your only way to really, well, not really your only way, but your real hard counter to Gastrodon. Okay, so don't be surprised if something like this comes up where like you do bring the Grimmsnarl and you do bring the Kartana with the Yveltal in the back, and then with Incin, right? I could totally see myself bringing that 4, all right? But you know, you just might be able to pull it off here. But again, the main thing is of course the Incineroar. So let me just reset everything. Incin, you know, it's just something to think about when trying to use this squad. Goggles. All right, so of course, again, Flare Blitz, you just get annihilated, but in the rain, you do live the Incineroar Flare Blitz, which is the whole point of our EV investment on Kartana. So just consider that. And then what's also kind of nice is if you Dynamax, Flare Blitz is actually a 3-hit KO without any screens, right? With screens, it's actually basically a 4-hit KO for more or less, okay? If there was no rain, you still live anyway, and of course, but no max, but with Reflect, you still die. So just be aware of that. All right, the rain is a little bit more valuable than the Reflect in this regard. So that's what I have to say about the Kartana defensive calc. Let's keep going here. Okay, this is like this is an Yveltal going against a standard Zacian, and again, you're not as lucky with the play rough here. And this is after Intimidate, right? But if it's a normalization, of course, that's pretty rough. If you max, you can take 1. Okay, you're not gonna like it, but you can take 1. If you have the Reflect, it's okay. He'll still do about half, I want to say, but then you have the Life Orb chip, so maybe you don't take another one. But if you can at least intimidate it a little bit with the Reflect, then it doesn't do that much damage, right? And then same thing if it's not max. Again, you'll be taking about 70, almost 75% with the Intimidate and Reflect up without Dynamax. This is again 252 Jolly Zacian, so you have to be a little bit more aware with what's going on in terms of your bulk, because you're not an Assault Vest Yveltal, you're not as bulky, but you can still deal some decent damage with again with your moves. Like again, that was foul. So like this is what I was saying, like this is foul play, right? Life Orb foul play does pretty good damage, right? But of course we're going for Tailwind here. Dark Pulse, not too bad. Again, still Oblivion Wing. Again, all these moves are resisted, but you have other things for Zacian. But I wanted to show like at least a defensive calc in terms of Zacian, what you can do. So Reflect, Intimidate helps you out a little bit. If you just have one, it's a roll. And it's not a great one, but a roll is a roll, okay? What about if this was like a Groudon here, with the Rock Falls and the Rock Slide? So if this was like the AV Groudons running around, if it was Rock Slide, okay, I mean, that still does about 45%, still does quite a bit, but with Reflect, not too bad, maybe at most 30, so that's good. If you Intimidate it, then even better, right? More or less the same thing. Now, if it maxes, you don't, yeah, it's still of a roll to try and KO, but if you Intimidate it with the Rock Fall, then 70% is what you're thinking here, is what we're looking at, I should actually say. So just a few things to keep in mind. And again, Thundurus is another one. So let's go here, Life Orb Thundurus here. Let's just say if it was 252 Thundurus, this is another one that's interesting. And again, you can't really intimidate this thing because you'll just give it +1. So max, you know, you can live again with the Dynamax here. It's going to do a lot of damage, but with Reflect, you can at least mitigate some of that and hope for the 2-hit KO. Against the Life Orb, Jolly, Defiant Thundurus, I would say. And again, no instant swap in, you're just going to give it +1, but you know, you have some chances, okay? At the very least, you have that. But Max Darkness does really good damage into Thundurus too. So what I would do is, like, knowing that you would live, I would go for Reflect and Airstream, and then next turn go for Darkness if he decides to go for the Lightning. Okay, that's what I would do. But if he also goes for Airstream, you're a little bit out of luck there. But just something to consider. All right, so those are the main ones, right? We showed you Groudon, Thundurus, and again, of course, Zacian. So yeah, let's just look at Kyogre here. Again, this is Kyogre into Thundurus. So you know, again, Thundurus is something you have to be aware of, but you have the Raichu, right? So that's what I'm saying here. So a nice pivot into Raichu against those Thundurus teams would very much help you here. Now, if this was Kyogre, Wild Charge just absolutely kills it. If it was Life Orb, Defiant Thundurus, if you Dynamax it with Reflect, it still actually just kills you. So don't count on that saving you. So make sure you know this calc. But if it was Assault Vest, the less damaging Thundurus, which I can very well see, does that KO? Let's take a look. Where's the Assault Vest here? So if this was AV Thundurus, no, you don't. So no, it doesn't. So you actually do live with like 2% if he high rolls it. So not bad if he's 252, 252. But again, you know, it's still so much damage. You know, you're asking a lot from the Origin Pulse at that moment. But hey, at the very least, you know this. What about like Rillaboom? That you can definitely intimidate and stuff like that. So Rillaboom, if I go mono. So Rillaboom, that's Gmax. So Miracle Seed, 252, Adamant, Rillaboom. With Reflect, you do live the Grassy Glide, and Wood Hammer still kills you. But with Reflect and Intimidate, definitely no from Grassy Glide. Wood Hammer, 50% with Intimidate and through Reflect. So that's okay. That makes sense, you know, because we don't really have that much defensive investment. You could actually EV this Ogre to have some defensive investment because you're capitalizing off of Yveltal's Max Darkness. So I'll show you what that looks like if you want to boost up the defense a little bit. But yeah, those are just some of the key calcs. So let's take a look at some sample battles. Okay, so something like this, right? Where Palkia is Zacian. So this is again a game where something like Kartana looks really, really good because you can't sleep the Kartana and does well against Palkia. You just have to neuter the Zacian a little bit with the Incineroar. So I think this is still okay, a pretty decent matchup. Raichu could come in handy here, so I'm going to lead Yveltal Raichu here just to potentially get some hacks going. He does have the Indeedee, which is good, so no Fake Out here. But what I can do is still go for the Eerie Impulse play, which is what I did here. So I figured he might try and go for Glory here. He does go for Geyser, so now his max is neutered. We do reduce the Indeedee to Sash, and now what I can do is just go for E-Webs next turn and break the Sash and kill the, not break the Sash, but kill the Indeedee. Okay, so we make the Palkia slower. We chip it now because we're faster with Oblivion Wing. I believe we still die here to the Max Geyser, so that was a little unfortunate, but that's still okay because now Kartana comes in. So does Zacian, but I don't want Kartana to take all that damage yet. I'm just going to neuter the Zacian a little bit and get the speed control with the Raichu with the E-Webs. Unfortunately, I do miss the Zacian, so now the game plan changes because, you know, my luck is my luck. Now, in this game, I did have the Shuka Berry Instant, which I really, really liked, and that honestly probably saved me. But here is his own Incineroar. He clicks Protect, but again, I'm just trying to slow it down one time so this way Kartana can finish the game. Parting Shot on that slot, and here comes Kartana. Now we have a pretty decent position because now I can just Intimidate and make the Zacian -1 because I was able to survive the Quake. Now there's the Sacred Sword again. We take it very well. Here's our Airstream. We have to get faster. There's no Tailwind on this on that Yveltal, by the way. So that's why I had to waste a turn to go for the Airstream, but we removed the Instant, and now Kartana looks very, very strong because now, first of all, he went for the Zacian. He's trapped in with -1. Here's the Palkia. I have a Raichu. I have Fake Out if I choose to go, but I just go for the Nuzzle. Okay, Sacred Sword. Now, even a crit doesn't kill me there, so I was fairly safe in going for the Nuzzle. I wanted to at least remove the Palkia because if he gets Trick Room, that's not great. But here we go, Sacred Sword. Does a lot of damage. Smart Strike actually does more, so that's actually more of a misplay, but still more or less we got the job done. So we used the Eerie Impulse Raichu here, and it came up clutch against the Palkia. So let's take a look at one more. Okay, so this is something with like Zacian and Kyogre stuff. So again, Raichu, Kyogre, again, this was just to see if he was going to go with the Calyrex, but again, he has Indeedee Dragon Ball, so this is maybe like something like Dragon Dance shenanigans. He has double redirection, which is quite interesting, but that's what I think. I'm thinking he's going for like Dragon Dance here, so I'm gonna try and Nuzzle him. If he just goes for Follow Me, I mean, oh well. But he does max the Dragon Ball right away, so he's going for the Whirlwind. He tries to kill the Raichu, doesn't get the kill, and it's not Life Orb Dragon Ball. It's probably something else. We do Nuzzle the Indeedee, which is good. But now I don't want the Indeedee to die just yet, so I'm just going to leverage my Instant here, which I needed for Zacian, but he does get the crit, but I'm going to try my best to at least do some damage here, and I do because the Kyogre was left untouched, and the Indeedee gets paralyzed, which is great. He removes the Incineroar, so that's not good late game for the Calyrex and the Zacian, but the Dragapult is taking a whole bunch of damage here. Now, I do go into the Yveltal here. because I feared he might bring out the Calyrex, and that's what he does. So I don't think the Calyrex is sash here. If he's got like the Amoonguss, the Indeedee, and the Regieleki, it's probably something like Scarf or Specs. So there's the Astral Barrage. And then honestly, I just went for the Airstream. I killed the Polt, which is what I wanted because he was the fastest thing on the field. And then there's the Regieleki. Now, unfortunately for me, I don't. I think I still have the Raichu in the back. I could have swapped it in there, which I probably should have, because then I don't have to take an E-Webs. But I avoided it. But then I do kill the Calyrex anyway, so there it is. And then Water Spout. There's the sash on the Eleki. Okay, this is what I mean. Fast Ogre, fast Yveltal, and then there's the forfeit. Okay, so yeah. Now let's take a look at the pace one last time. So yeah, here's the pace one last time. Again, I feel like it's solid for what it's supposed to do, right? Tailwind is a nice mechanic. In the test battles, we didn't actually have Tailwind, and we had Eerie Impulse instead of Helping Hand, but I think both work, right? I think Helping Hand or Eerie Impulse is fine, but like Helping Hand plays with Kartana, Kyogre, and Yveltal sounds really, really busted. So I do think that is the play this time around. Grimmsnarl is pretty good if you're going against like an opposing Palkia team with like Tailwind stuff, not Tailwind, Trick Room stuff. I think that's okay. Incin's got to come into those Zacian games most times. And if it's like Gastrodon and Groudon, I think Kartana's the game. Like Kartana, Kyogre, and Incin, they have to come. Those three into the Sun 6. I think those three have to come. And then from there, it's up to you whether you want to do like Yveltal, Raichu, and Grimm. I don't think Raichu wants to come against two ground types. So I would probably decide between like the Yveltal and the Grimmsnarl. I think you have like two aggressive options here with Kyogre and Kartana. And I think just having the Grimmsnarl add bulk to the Ogre and the Kartana. And this is what's going to be maxing in that game, by the way. So I think that's ideal. All right, so yeah, we'll probably make this a rental once April starts. So yeah, let me know what you think of this. But we'll be back next time in another Series 12 video. Have a good one.